Well, Big Foxy, here we are again. The Gingy and Foxy and Triple RL semi-final wrap. And I think there's a whole bunch of, before we start, there's a whole bunch of people out there in this wonderful competition that are now definitely viewing the podcast because we can confirm that. Players in every club are definitely viewing the podcast.
How good.
Thank you very much, everybody, for
good
tuning in throughout the whole year. And for those people that have tuned in throughout the final series, again, particularly the players. I mean, the best way for us to engage is to have that player, podcaster, talk, engagement, conversation, all that sort of stuff, fun banter. And so I want to just say thank you to, particularly to the Coogin first graders. We'll talk a bit about more. I mean, it's great to see you guys are all watching it now. This isn't sour grapes, by the way, but you guys made yourselves very loud and very clear on the weekend, and I thank you for that as well. So thank you. Thumbs up, guys.
Keep watching the
podcast, and we'll keep watching you guys throughout the rest of the final series, and wish you all the best, by the way. Yep. Tonight, mate, we've got a big night. We want to talk about all the games on the weekend. We want to talk about
big unit in between us.
Sorry. Yeah, well, I'm going to mention that. So we've got one of our special guests that's been on the podcast before, Young Bales.
Yep.
He's here tonight, and he's going to talk all things semi-final and all his views and reviews of the NRRL between the last podcast he was on and to now. He had some bold predictions. We'll talk to him about some of his predictions that may not have come to fruition, but we'll get his points on that.
Would have been a good final, though, wouldn't it?
It would be, and you can talk to that, mate. I'm going to definitely leave you that one. But, mate, as I said, we've got a big segment. We're going to talk about all the games on the weekend, both elimination finals in Lismore, with the Northern United hosting the Coogin Hornets, and we're also going to talk to the Ballina Seagulls v Bilambil Jets on the weekend on Sunday down at Bilambil. We're going to go through next week's rounds, this weekend's rounds,
Yep.
And then we're also going to have a bit of what we call a free flow. We're also going to go into Goffy's Goss and then obviously finish off with our favourites, which is the whatevs and the shout-outs. But tonight, and I actually had to seek permission for this one off the Foxy, and also I don't usually seek permission off Goffy, but I thought I'd run it past him. Tonight we're going to have Controversy Corner.
Controversy Corner.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about and I really think the podcast, look, we can't be polite all the time. We have to raise controversial issues within the competition. Will we get in trouble? Who cares? If we do, up for reprimanding, all good. You know, like do what we've got to do, but the podcast won't stop. I can tell you that. So I think we want to have a bit of a look at the overall season, Les. I think in that, and look at how it's all gone down, how the clubs have played throughout the season, different clubs, how the officials have officiated all the games, and not just the semis. I'm talking about the season, and then also how the NRRL had managed pretty much the middle part and then the back end of our season to this point. To which I'm going to be honest, I think you guys are doing a great job. By the way, I'm not knocking that. There are things that I'd probably, maybe some food for thought that would raise tonight for the competition around thinking about how we can maybe do it better.
Let's get into it.
So here we go. I'm going to hand it straight over to you with the around the ground. So here we go, Les.
Let's jump
over to you, brother. Saturday.
Look,
We're going to go from 18s right through. Ladies League tag right through to the first grade game.
So Saturday's games at Oaks Oval.
Oaks Oval, Clifford Park. We're saying Clifford Park, Crozier Oval. Anyway, there you go.
In the Ladies League tag,
Mate, what a game.
Up against the Bilambil Jets.
I don't know who I tipped last week.
I think you tipped. I think
I tipped Bilambil.
Ballina.
I think I tipped Bilambil.
I tipped Bilambil. I definitely tipped Bilambil. I reckon they should have finished.
I'm going to bandwagon you anyway.
But they come away with a 22-6 win. Another big win.
They looked pretty damn good.
They look really good.
Yeah.
And so did Coogin. We'll get to Coogin, but they look pretty good too. So I think it's shaping up for an interesting finish.
I will say this: there's a couple of girls in the Bilambil team. There's one, I think it's the number one, the fullback, who scored a couple of tries. Mate, she broke the line a couple of times on the weekend, and I don't know whether I said it to you. I might have been actually. I might have said it to one of the officials on the sideline with me when I had the purple shirt on. I just noticed her athleticism, mate. When she got through the line, she's got this big bloody stride, and mate, she looked like a pure athlete. She got through the line. I think she had a 50-metre run and sort of angled out to the sideline and then angled back in, and there was a pretty good chase on, but mate, she was not going to be caught, and she scored 2 great tries. So I think that Bilambil team, based on their last 2 weeks, will go into this weekend's game pretty damn confident. I think Ballina tried their bloody butts off. They really did. Disappointing to the Ballina Ladies League Tag team, Abby Beecher and the girls.
They've done well to get to where they are.
They did, mate. They did really well.
Congratulations there to the Bilambil Jets and the Ladies League Tag. So we'll move on to the under-18s game, and I thought this game was going to be a bit more of a cracker than what it was.
Mate,
Bilambil versus
I
Byron.
called it too early. I actually jumped on Byron Bay's. Sorry to the Byron Bay boys and their coach.
Sorry to everyone we tip.
We had a bad weekend.
They seem to lose.
We had a bad weekend. I tipped Byron to win on the weekend in the 18s.
I tipped Byron too, but the Bilambil.
Did you watch any of the 18s this year, mate?
Pardon?
Did you watch any of the 18s games this year?
I think I have.
Yeah. What did before this game? Did you end up watching any of the Byron Bay games this year?
No.
I was going to ask you what was your thought, because my thoughts going into that game, they were going to win by my famous word, a trillion.
We'll talk about your trillion talk.
Yeah, I was proven wrong. My motivational trillion. Yeah, we'll talk about that as well. Byron Bay, mate, didn't come the way they did the week before v Northern.
No.
They've got a very good team. They've got 3 young players that are going to play with NRL clubs next year, one with the Storm, one with the Raiders and one with the Warriors. I'm not saying that they didn't play well. I think the 13 was outstanding, but so was the 13. So was the 13 for Bilambil.
I caught a little bit of the game, and I don't know. Did you notice if Byron used their bench very much?
Oh, I think they did. Probably some of the bench. Sometimes they had to use their bench out of not necessity, through injury. So there were some changes that they had to make, or forced changes, is what I'd say. But out of that, mate, I think they were still a great team. I think they created a lot this year in the competition. I don't know how many of those young kids, apart from those 3 kids I've mentioned, I don't know how many of those young kids are going to be sticking around in the 18s next year. If they do, they're obviously going to be very strong. Good junior base. But yeah, mate, Bilambil, mate, way too strong. I think interesting, I spoke to one of the Bilambil people on the weekend. Obviously, my young bloke plays up at Bilambil as well. So I spoke to a couple of the Bilambil blokes on the weekend, and they got 3 really, really good players that are part of the Titans, I think it's Academy, or their senior development. They were told they couldn't play on the weekend, so they were 3 players down. Quality players, by the way, that didn't play on the weekend. So they without those three kids, they still got the job done. So
congratulations to Bilambil, and unlucky to Byron. What a great year you boys had in the under-18s, and it's good to see Byron up there in the under-18s competition.
Yep.
So we'll move along to the reserve grade fixture where the Coogin Hornets were too strong for lower, 28-8.
I got this one right.
You got this one right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. I said, I didn't say by the trillion. I did say that Coogin Hornets will be the reserve grade team to watch throughout the rest of the season once they've made it. I watched them a few weeks back before the final series, and the game that I watched, I think it was actually v Bilambil. They beat Bilambil at Coogin, and it was at that point I thought, ooh,
they're a bit similar to the first grade team, aren't they? They've come right at the right end.
Back to back.
Yeah. So congratulations, Coogin. Unlucky to lower.
Yeah, mate,
great
they had a good year
from the lower Magpies.
What do you think about Lower's year this year?
That was a good year.
Good year. Mate, I'll tell you, to get to an elimination final, to get through first week and then go to second week of semis, for a club that's been, not going great years gone by, I think it's a massive effort.
Especially with the first grade being so good too, to still have their reserve grade so strong, that's massive. So
you're doing, but yeah, Bailey's doing some faces.
Yeah.
Show us some of the faces you're doing, Bales.
Nah. That was all tight.
Was it? Okay, there you go. Thanks,
Yeah,
Buzz.
so
He's giving me some
congratulations,
entertainment
Coogin.
while we're doing the cast. Well done, brother.
Congratulations to Coogin. They move on to next week's round. The main game, mate.
Did you watch it, Buzz?
The Northern United Dirrawongs up against the Coogin Hornets, and the Dirrawongs went down 28-20.
What'd you think? Honestly, don't hold back.
I wanted to see Northern United battle in the final. I think it would have been a really good final, but it's a bit upsetting to see the Dirrawongs go.
Oh, mate, I feel like crying on your shoulder. Yeah, mate. Oh, well, a bit emotional now. Look, mate, it was, to be totally honest, I would definitely say the first thing I'm going to say is I have no doubt that Mark Harrison, Tony Maluta would have been very entertained with me on the weekend. I did make it very entertaining. And look,
You're the Ricky
some people
Stewart
can.
of the
Some people. Oh, I'm just going to throw it out there. Love me, hate me. I don't really care. But at the end of the day, I love me footy like everyone else does. I'm passionate about what I do from a coaching perspective. Do I lose the plot at times? 100% I do. Is it in a way that impacts on the game? Sometimes it might be. Depends on how people take me. But if there's one thing I will say, I know where there's a line. I know where the limit to that line. I've crossed that line a few times, and I know what it feels like.
Now, Benji.
Yeah, mate, I've crossed that line a few times. But when we go to Controversy Corner, I'm actually going to make some pretty bold statements because I'm a little bit disappointed, to be totally honest. And I'm not just talking about officiating the games or the result. I'm just a bit disappointed in a few other things. And you know what, people, you're going to hear about it tonight because I don't really care. But as far as I'm concerned, look, mate, I thought our first half, defensively for that first 20 minutes or so, I thought we were pretty good. Coogin came out of the box, mate. They threw everything at us. Their forward pack was
Power game.
really trying to dominate us through the middles. I think they had a bit of a plan to take us on through there. I think 20 minutes into the game, 25 minutes into the game, I think they believed that it was working, but I could see the tide turning, particularly towards the back end of the first half. They jumped out of the box, I think, to a 10-0 lead at one point. We scored a meat pie just before halftime, which brought the game back to 10-4. We were very unlucky. I think about 22 minutes into the game, there was a major call that I think, looking back at the video, and I really honestly do believe that, I would hope that people that watch the game for the game, not so much for, the controversial bits, but maybe also watch the game for the purity in the game. There was a couple of calls that were made that probably didn't go our way. We would have normally, and in years gone by, we probably would have reacted negatively. We didn't react in a negative way other than be frustrated. But there was a clear call, I think, at about 22 minutes in. Coogin had a knock-on, attacking. Dave Jackie for Northern goes down, picks the ball up, no double knock-on, picks the ball up clean, runs 35, 40 metres down the field, no chasing. Referee calls it onside. No, he actually calls it, you can pretty much hear it. Referee calls play on, but the touchies called it back. My only advice to the referees and touchies, mate, do some review, guys, because the review will actually show you something quietly different.
Bunker. Might need the bunker soon.
Yeah, well, mate, if not the bunker, I'll talk about it a bit later
TMO.
about how we need to maybe look at it in the future. But look, I could probably talk about this all night. But at the end of the day,
I think we dropped a bit of too much ball.
yeah, mate, we did. We dropped it. We coughed up a fair bit.
And you can't give a good side like Coogin that much ball, can you?
And that was disappointing. I don't know whether that was nerves. I don't know whether it was experience, or it could have been a combination of both. But that also probably came from good Coogin defence and pressure. They dropped a little bit of ball too, so they weren't as great as probably what they wanted to be. So to go into the half-time at 10-4, I thought, you know what can we realistically do in this second half? And I was really happy with the way we came out in that second half.
It got to 22-20.
22-20, mate, with about 22-20 with about 6 minutes left in the game. Yeah, so you know, at that point in the game, even with
I
6
think it
minutes
was
to go,
3 minutes ago.
I thought we were still in with a chance, and I reckon Coogin would have been pretty damn nervous at that point. I could see their bench was really thinking about what they were going to do at that point. But the disappointing thing is, straight after that set, we came out. I think it was the fourth or fifth tackle. We made a mistake in our half. Coogin got possession, and then they scored off the next set. So, you know, like they're a quality team. And I think I said this to you. I know Coogin, I'm just going to say it. Players that gave me a bit of a gobful, Mr. Zeebs, I hope you know, have a good think about what you said, because the person that actually did write you off was the bloke sitting next to me. Actually, I was the bloke that probably 4 weeks out from the semis, 3 weeks out from the semis, I actually said to you, Coogin are the team to watch. Coogin are the team that I believe will get momentum, and they'll have a big. If they do make the finals, they'll be one hard team to beat. I'm just want to say, you know, Cabes, I was on your game, mate, and thanks for the gobful, but you got the wrong bloke. It was actually the bloke next to me. So next time you see the Foxy, you could probably go up to him and say, "I told you, Foxy," and you probably owe me a massive apology, but I'm not expecting one from you. But in saying that, mate, look, totally honest, to Zeebs, both Zeebles and the Coogin team, the coach, the Coogin club, mate, we wish you guys all the best. Next week against Balamba, we know that's going to be one hell of a game.
Northern, Mad Monday.
Northern, go on. Yeah, Mad Monday. But I just want to say to all the guys that are involved in our club, all the players, the coaching staff, Steve Parsons, the assistant coach for first grade, you know, the players particularly, we've had one hell of a ride this season, and it's probably proven to ourselves what we can do if we get the formula right. I think we've got a good group of blokes in the club at the moment that we want to look at retaining, and we've got a good platform to move forward in. And I'm just looking forward to what potentially we can do moving beyond season 2023 and the learnings we've taken from that, going into next season to be bigger, better and stronger, and actually hopefully wanting to be more competitive than what we were this year. Mm-hmm. Okay. So well done to Coogin. Progressing to next week.
Yes. Sunday,
Let's
mate. Move into Sunday. Down at Seagull Stadium, there at Kingston Smith Oval. Let's jump straight into the league tag. Coogin, 22-0.
It's not an upset.
Against Brothers.
It's not an upset.
It's not an upset.
Mate, I'll tell you something. That was the first game, I think, that Brothers played prior to the end of the competition. They were dismal against Kyogle, out at Kyogle.
Yep.
And, mate, to be totally honest, I went back and had another look at this game. They were just as bad. Yeah, so Coogin were far too good, mate. They're a great team at League Tag Girls.
Brothers have a week to get it right.
Yeah, they have a week to get it right. They've got a lot to fix, though.
So
They've got a lot to fix. So
we'll see what
not writing you off, brothers. Just being honest and telling the truth. It is controversial. I said it'll be a bit controversial tonight. Probably going to get a few people that'll either hit you up on the Facebook side or see me on the weekend and say, "Take that one, Benji. Got you again." Bring it on, brothers and girls. I'm happy to hear that as well.
We love the banter.
Yeah, we love the banner. We love the banner.
Keep the banter coming. We love it.
Oh, we love it.
All right, Bailey. Did you catch any of the under-18s game
What do you think,
on
mate?
Sunday?
No.
Ballina Seagulls. What are you doing here tonight? You just come to sit next to me in the Fox.
He's waiting for Goffy.
Oh, you're making us look good because obviously
what?
look at our two heads.
I reckon you do when the finals come around.
Yeah.
You know, you were thinking about getting the shirts for the podcast.
Oh, do you have to?
I don't
Listen,
talk about those
listen,
shirts.
mate,
Benji
to be
never,
totally
ever,
honest,
ever does anything
Bailey,
he says he's going to do.
I hope you've really enjoyed tonight, and I hope you get a lot out of tonight because this could actually be your last bloody night, you know, doing this podcast because, mate, we haven't spoken about those shirts for 6 weeks.
I've gave up on them. Benji's
But yet you bring it out.
Benji's all talk, no
So
show.
thank you very much, Bales. I appreciate that. Going back, obviously you didn't watch any of the 18s, so the only comment you had is about the shirt. So thanks, mate.
Good one.
Appreciate
I'm glad
that.
you reminded me about that, Bailey, because I forgot about that.
So 18s,
So,
mate.
mate, Tweed Seagulls, the competition minor premiers, up against Mooloolaba, and the Mustangs got the bickies.
I watched this.
22-16.
I watched this.
Pretty sure I tipped Mooloolaba
So
last
did
week
I.
too.
I actually said Morelumbah was going to be I actually said Moreland.
I don't think you tipped them though.
No, I did. Because you know what I said? Well, this is what I said.
No,
I actually made a very
Can we
bold
get a
statement.
playback, Goffey?
So if anyone wants to go back and have a look at last week's podcast, the thing that I did say last week is if they're number 7, if Tweed Seagull's number 7, which is young Cora, who was in a moon boot the week before, if he still had issues with his ankle, there is no way Tweed Seagulls would win that game.
I said they were going to lose no matter what.
So anyway, I seen him after the game too. He was limping around pretty much all the second half. I seen him after the game. He's struggling to walk. So I'm just going to go out without young Cora.
He tried to play, did he?
So, yeah, he did. Without Cora in the halves at 100%, I actually think this could be their last week.
Okay, we'll get to that later on when we get to the next week's matchups.
And particularly if Balamble get their 3
I'm
players
going to give
back.
you this one because you caused a bit of ruckus with
Oh,
this
I
game.
did.
The reserve grade fixture, Ballina versus Balamble.
What about the score?
And the Ballina boys
What about
come
the
up
score?
victorious.
What about the score?
10-0.
10-0.
10-0.
Very defensive orientated
And what
game.
did you say it was going to be?
Mate, you know what the score was? You know what the score was at halftime?
What was the score?
6-0.
Wow. What
You know what the score was? You know what the score? You know what the score was? 60 minutes into the game.
6-0.
6-0.
Yeah.
Do you know what the score was at the end?
10-0.
10-0. And guess what?
What?
Very defensive orientated game.
Yeah. And what did you say? What was your
I
tip?
said Ballina, Balamble will apparently. I don't know.
You did.
I said, and I gave the motivation from the word from the Ballina Footy Club to the Ballina Reserve Grade
text
team.
straight away from
To the Ballina Reserve Grade team. And I said that Balamble will win by 1 trillion.
Yeah.
Okay? So right now, the Gingy is going to go out on a limb and say Coogin is going to wipe the platform with every other team in the competition in reserve grade.
And Ballina need to thank you for the motivation.
So if that's motivation you need, Ballina,
There's another one.
get put out of this competition on grand final day, to make it all the way, first team through, and Coogin to roll you,
Home GF.
prove me wrong.
Home
Prove
GF.
me wrong, because I'll guarantee you this. I will be there, and I'm happy to cop the gob for once you do it. But my tip is Coogin by 1 trillion.
All right. Right, so congratulations there to the Ballina Reserve Grade.
Yep.
Beating Balamble, who were the
they
minor
actually
premiers.
did. To be honest, they did play pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They're good. Hey, do you know I didn't even know this. Do you know who's coaching them?
Coleman?
Yeah.
Mick Coleman.
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Mickey Coleman.
Yeah.
Mate, how good's that?
You know
I could basically remember wiping his bloody bum. So, mate, Mickey Coleman, it was so good to sit back and watch this young bloke make his way through the coaching ranks. The only thing I will say is he's so calm, so cool, didn't lose the plot. I don't know, you definitely got that from your mum. Because if it was your dad,
Were they fit?
you would. Oh yeah.
Oh, well, that would be... Spike would have them fit, surely.
Oh mate, it was so good. I love going out to footy, regardless of the coaching thing. I love going out to footy and seeing young blokes step up into the coaching ranks. And I kept saying to Kylie, my wife, have a look who's coaching.
Yeah, and I
So
think,
well done, mate. Well done.
I think Young Chubbs is a part of their coaching staff as well, and for all grades.
Is that what you
as well.
call it?
Huh?
Is that what you call? I'm saying, is that what you call what he does?
What?
He's part of the coaching staff.
I think so. Well, what does he do?
I just think he wears a yellow shirt.
Oh, he does a bit of stuff at training as well.
Chubsy.
Yeah.
He must have learnt that off his brothers.
Yeah, he must.
Nah, Chubsy's a good kid. Me and Chubsy had a fair bit of banter on Saturday.
Did you?
Yeah. I told him he looks good as a canary. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so congratulations there to the Ballina Seagulls. They move on to the GF. And
Yep.
Balamble move on to next week. Do or die.
Yeah.
The first grade fixture, mate. The Ballina Seagulls versus the Balamble Jets again.
Mate,
And what a
6-0 at half time.
What a great game. 6-0
Mate, I'll tell you
at
now,
half-time.
I honestly, I did not think it was going to be as tight as what it was. My prediction was Ballina to win. I thought they were going to win and win well. Credit to the Balamble team, mate. Their first half of football, they were so competitive. Unlucky a couple of times, didn't get across the line. I think they probably, for me, they have a reliance on Ollie at the back. His injection into the game wasn't probably where it needed to be at different points. They went to look, to shape. And when they did go to look to shape, not saying that Ollie wasn't there, when they went to shape, the Ballina defence, if efforts inside defence, was just there every time. So they had I think Ballina worked their whole week, and I know Barnesy watches a lot of video. I'm going to say Barnesy because Scabby just tags along.
Barnesy doesn't just
Doesn't
watch
he?
videos. Barnesy drives to teams' trainings and watches them train.
Does he?
Yep.
That's a G up?
No, he does.
But if you were coaching at any grade, and you were worried about the opposition, would you drive to the opposition's training to watch them train?
No, because that's like what creeps do, isn't it? Oh, if they're a good side, maybe, but
What do you think he gets?
So
the W?
Barnesy, you must be a creep.
Just check
Just
out.
saying.
Just check out his.
Just
grand
saying,
final.
Barnesy came
Just
from the
check
young
out
bloke,
his
not
grand
me.
final.
But yeah, now look,
And that's Chris Bingy's grandson there.
he's a goff, very much so.
But no, congratulations to the
Congratulations,
Ballina side. Another home grand final for the Ballina side.
Yeah, mate. The good thing about that is, guess what?
What?
You know we're going home.
I don't think I'm going to go.
You're going to go.
What?
I call the game as you do the A-grade game.
Are we?
Are we?
Yeah, he's on the A-grade mic with him. You do the most score and they'll shut him up.
Are we really doing the game?
Is it locked in or
Oh,
not?
I'll tell you what. If you don't want to come to the game, trust me, stay home and watch.
Watch it on
We
here.
will make it the most entertaining and Triple A Real Grand Final you would have watched and viewed in years.
why don't you do the podcast at the actual ground after the game?
Well,
Change it up.
Well, there you go. Well,
There
we
you go.
might have a chat to the golf. You know what? You're an ideas man.
You are an idea.
You're an ideas man.
I'm not paying you to think.
Yeah,
So, well, there you go, viewers. The announcement's been made.
Young
Even if
Golfers
you're at the
called it,
game,
a live
even if you're at the
podcast
game,
end.
and you want to sit back and really enjoy the game with a bit of commentary, real quality commentary. Not saying that Dwayne, I think that's his name, isn't it? Not saying that Dwayne isn't entertaining, but what I will say is we will add value to Dwayne's commentary, and our interjections will be off the cuff. There you go.
Beautiful.
Well done, Goffy. We hope you come back to us next week to confirm that
I don't have to, you are.
with a dollar
right,
price. No
we're in.
joke.
We're on.
We're on. Gingy and the Foxy and Dwayne. Bring it on. GF and Triple RL 2023.
Mate, let's look at this week's
Yeah, let's get
final
into it.
series. All right.
Let's
who-
go from
who-
the bottom to the top. League
let's
tag
see
to
who's
first grade.
going to
And
be at the
everyone
big
on the
dance.
table, on the panel, we've got to have
We've
a
got a
view,
tip.
and we've got a tip.
We've got a tip. All right.
And you can't do this, rock, scissors, paper, you just got a tip.
All right, let's kick it off with the ladies' league tag. The Belamble Jets up against the Marsh Brothers Rams. I'm going Belamble.
I'm going Belamble, and I'm going Belamble by 10,
Belamble, because
because I told you to.
from what I've heard, Marsh Brothers aren't going too well.
Yeah, there you go.
Not too
call.
crash up.
There you go. And that's coming from Bailey to the Brothers Girls, not from Benji.
What do I say? This whole sheet, it's just Belamble. Right up
Belamble,
the side.
Belamble.
Well, he's
Belamble.
well, how about what
Good
a
call.
pickup. Belamble in the
4 grades.
what is it, elimination final have 4 grades. How good's that?
4 grades. to
How,
make it
how
to the
actually,
big
I don't know,
dance.
how good is that for the Belamble Footy Club? Even on the current point system in first grade, which I know they're down to about 85, how good is it to see 4 grades? What a club effort that is. Are they the club
Huge
champions this year? God, if
They
they're
have
not,
to
they need to be.
They have to be.
So there you go,
So there you
Belamble.
go.
Good pickup, mate, by the way. Liz didn't pick that up.
So
I
it's
did
going to
that
be
on
a
purpose.
huge day down in the valley.
Yeah,
4 grades.
Yep.
Home final.
Yep.
Massive.
I won't be there.
Whole town's going to show up probably.
Unless Dwayne rings me between now and Sunday and wants me to come up. I might leave that in the management hands.
I'm going to save
So
it for the GF.
if Goffy, if the commentary team this weekend, if you want to warm up for the GF and Dwayne needs an assistant or an extra, the Gingy will make himself available this weekend on Sunday. I don't know about the Foxy.
No, if GF is definitely organised, I'm just going to go, yep, that's me.
There you go. But if I'm up for it, there you go. Dwayne, pull me in. Let's go.
All right. Let's move to the under 18 fixture.
Under 18s.
Swede Seagulls up against the Belamble Jets.
I'm going to say, I'm actually going to go out on a limb, and I'm only going to do it by saying this: if
You're sticking to your
if
young,
the three players return, the three senior
For Balamble.
for Balamble, the three Titans boys,
Yep.
I'm backing Balamble.
All right. Well,
And
I'm
if Cora's
backing-
not good, I don't know if he can be fixed in 7 days because he looked like he was out. He looked like that ankle's pretty damn bad.
Well, I'm backing Balamble.
They can't win without the halfback.
I'm backing Balamble if they're in or out.
Yeah,
I'm just going to go. They're at home. They're just going to go all out, mate.
Yep, they will.
Balamble, I reckon.
Leave
Balamble?
nothing in the tank, boys.
The reserve grade. Balamble versus Coogin.
No, I'm going Cudgeon.
You're going Coogin?
Oh, yeah, I'll go Coogin.
Well, I can't go with Gingy, so I'm going Balamble will beat Coogin.
No,
There you go. In the reserve
no
grade.
chance, mate.
Young Chris is just going to carve it this weekend.
He's not. I think he's away for work.
Oh, is he away for work?
I don't know.
Well, he's still
I
going
could
to
be
carve
wrong.
even if he's away for work.
You idiot. But look, I'm staying on the Cudgeon bandwagon in reserve grade. And
Don't worry, Chris.
I've been on.
I'll
I've
back
been
ya.
on.
If your dad's not going to back you, I'll back you.
Well, Chris, I'm not going to back you. It's as simple as that. I'm not backing Balamble this weekend because Cudgeon. I've been on this Cudgeon reserve grade team for pretty much most of the season.
I can't
As soon
wait
as we
to
hit the
come
final
next week.
series, I actually said Cudgeon's going back to back.
I can't wait till we get in next week and the Balamble Jets get up.
Well, best wishes to to both teams, but I am going to stand on my word. Cudgeon's going to win and win comfortably.
All right. And, mate, the same in the main game. Balamble versus Coogin.
Yeah, mate. You're probably not going to believe this. I'm actually going to say Cudgeon. No, I'm actually going to say Balamble.
You're going to say Balamble? I
Yeah.
thought you were going to say Coogin.
No, mate.
You go, mate.
Look, I'm just going to be really honest. People and the Cudgeon boys, if Benji's on you, you're probably going to get beat. So I'm going Balamble, not because I want you to beat Balamble. Sorry?
Sure you're going to commentate Sunday?
Yeah.
Right, here we go.
The big thing with this is I actually think Balamble at home always grow another league. I actually think that Balamble's efforts on the weekend against Ballina was pretty damn bloody good. If it's a bloody hot day, I think these Balamble boys can run this Cudgeon pack around a lot more than we did on the weekend.
Is Coogin going to have to wait to see if Connor Zeebel's in or out with Tweed Seagull?
No, they're
What's
gone.
going on there? They're good?
Tweed Seagulls are gone, mate.
They're gone.
Yeah, out of Queensland Cup, so he's 100% in.
He's in.
Mate, you know what though? Both the Zeeble boys are great, but how good? I went and watched that video again of our game. How good was Connor? He was pretty good on the weekend. He was. I'll tell you what. I now know why he played Cup this year.
He's good.
I actually rate Connor. Not that I don't rate Caleb. I think I don't know how. I probably will if they ever do talk to me again. The question I'd love to ask them both, and I'll actually do it now. Connor and Caleb, the age that you are, and he's a country boys, and it's great to see you committed to your club, but I don't know how you're both not playing at NRL level. Like, I really don't. I think you both got the ability. I think you both got the qualities. You got the body frames. I think you would have been outstanding at that level, but obviously you haven't gone to that level, and I know you've had opportunities maybe presented to you, and I don't know the reasons why you haven't, but I just think, for me, I always look back and always think about, I'm not saying that I was a Connor Zeeble or a Caleb Zeeble, but back in the day when I was actually 100% committed and fit and whatever, I thought, you know what, I really want to touch that. Got pretty close. I just, you go back sometimes, you look at your career and go, maybe I should have took that opportunity. But, yeah, I as I said, Connor Zeeble on the weekend was pretty damn good.
Yeah. Mate, who you tipping?
Balamble. I reckon.
Balamble?
At home.
I'm just going to shake your hand because you've actually tipped every team that I've tipped. So well done, young man. I think your football brain is really bloody good.
And I'm going to go Balamble as well.
You said Cudgeon.
No, I didn't. I thought you were going to go Coogin.
You said Cudgeon.
No, I didn't.
Cudgeon. The Foxy was on you, now he's off you. And as I said
thought
earlier,
you were going to go Coogin.
if I'm on you, you're probably not going to win. So I'm not on you, Cudgeon. I'm actually saying Balamble.
Down in the valley, 4 grades. I'm not tipping against.
Mate, I think it's going to. You watch the crowd. You watch the Balamble. You watch the Balamble support. The Balamble, supporter base will be there in droves. Four grades. It's like a home game It's like a club game when you. I hated going. I'm just going to say I hate going to Balambo and playing footy.
Did you play there?
'cause- No, back in the day.
Did you play there?
They used to have these knockouts up there.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day, before your time.
Although
They used to have
the
it at
competition when I
Pickabee,
was there.
and I used to hate playing Balambo because their supporters just used to give it to you. But when you go up there, even from
Bit like the Mullum young boys behind it, giving it to you behind it.
nah, they're not that bad. Those Mullen young
that
boys.
was that is my.
There's only
highlight.
two.
That is
There's only,
my
there's only
highlight
two
of the
clubs.
year.
There's only two clubs that I would go to say their crowd are just like, whoa. That's Coogin, those guys down in the back corner. I think there are a lot of those blokes are reserve grades because they were up there heckling on the weekend as well. But those young boys at Mullumbimby, they would get crowd of the year. Those kids, I don't know, and I think they just go back, and every other kid that's underneath them that's 13 and 12, I reckon those 15-year-olds go back and say, this is the standard we have to keep.
Those young boys, if you're out there listening, get more involved and give it to the Bingy next year.
Oh, settle down. Don't do that, guys. Please leave me alone. But yeah, so anyway, that's the week ahead.
That's it.
So there it is. There you go. Okay, let's get into the good stuff now, Coz. What do you reckon? What do you reckon, guys?
Beautiful. Let's get into it.
What do you got? What do you got on the table for us? We're going to go to the free flow. So you got anything? When we get to the Goffy's Goss, that's all you know.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good. So, mate, predictions. Who's going to win the premiership in each grade this year? Let's just jump straight into it.
Mate, I'm going
Take away the games
We're
that we
gonna
just
go
talked about.
first grade to.
No, we go league take first.
Okay, league take first. Mate, I'm going to go Coogin.
Coogin.
Couldn't.
Okay, there you go. There's our prediction, the podcast prediction. Coogin to be premiers in 2023 in ladies league tag. 18s.
18s, I'm going to go with Burbar.
I'm going with my Wollumbar too.
Mollumbar.
There you go. Podcasters view. My Wollumbar 2023 premiers.
Who?
Yeah, there's no relatives on the podcast. Just thought I'd let you know, mate. So we don't bring family into it. Oh, mate, I've got a son playing somewhere else, and I just tipped against his
Who's he
team.
play for? Oh, Tweed.
Who is it?
Tweed
Who?
Seagulls coach.
Yeah, he doesn't even know his cousin, so it's okay, Goffy.
Who is it?
Okay, don't worry about it. You can't. He's not even here. It's just a figment of your imagination.
Reggie.
Reserve grade, Coogin.
Couldn't know.
Coogin by a trillion.
I'm going the Seagulls. Go the Seagulls.
Oh, Ballina Seagulls. I thought you were going Tweed Seagulls. You know what I was actually going to say? I was going to say, you're mad. They're not in the competition till next year.
Oh, you're losing it, mate.
Anyway.
You're losing it.
So I'm going Coogin by the wonderful word that Ballina
How
love.
many beers did you have on the weekend?
Coogin by a trillion. I didn't have any.
Oh.
Yeah, mate, to be totally honest, and I'm going to put this out. This is going to be part of the free flow session. Just on the record, I did not have a beer on the weekend. I was gutted. I was gutted. I couldn't drink. Coogin, you broke my heart. There you go. One day I hope to return the favour.
Okay, first grade.
First grade,
Seagulls. Ballina Seagulls.
Ballina Seagulls. There you go.
Oh, the Seagulls, eh? You reckon?
Yeah, you reckon? Okay, I'm going to say Balamble. I just want Barnes to have some. I just want Barnes to have some motivation.
Barnes is going to text
Yeah,
me
but-
tomorrow going, bitches.
You know what I'm going to do?
Losing it.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ring him. I'm going to go up to this game this weekend and watch on Sunday. Then I'm going to ring Barnes and I'm going to say, Barnesy, I've got some tips for you. This is what I see from that game. You know what he'll say to me? No, he won't. He won't. He'll actually make out that he's listening to me, and then he'll go and watch the video again. So that's going to be my week. That was. I'm going to actually have motivational conversations with Barnesy. There you go. He hasn't. He's never listened to me when he was a player, so I don't know he's going to go as a coach. So the other thing, I think we just talked about the other grades. This is a bit. What I'll be interested to find out from young Bales as a young bloke. What the views on the season? What do you think of the season? What this year? What do you think of the competition in general, mate?
It's been a good season, I reckon.
What do you reckon about the people behind the scenes, the NRRL committee and the board?
Well,
They've done a good job, mate.
yeah, well, they've done a good job every season because if you didn't have them, there would be no competition, would there?
Shit, I didn't see it like that. So there's a good point from a young bloke. I'm probably going to go out and say it actually has been one hell of a competition this year. I've loved every minute as a coach. I've loved all the opportunities I've had to speak to all the other clubs and coaches of the other clubs and committee, I think the NRL showed me this year they're really approachable. Even though in years gone by I've always thought, yeah, you can't even talk to these blokes. They're really approachable. We got to know Harrow through the podcast.
Yep.
You know, Toots, I've known Toots for years throughout my days at Brothers, and he's a pretty good bloke, old Malutz.
Jack for the referees.
Yeah, Jack, mate. It was great having Jack on this year. I'd like to get more referees on next year. You know, we want to try and make sure we get an insight into what they think and believe about the game.
Tanya's still dodging us.
Tanya's still dodging us, apart from weekends. She also comes up. She comes up every weekend when I've been at footy, and she'll have a yarn and all that sort of stuff. Tanya, you need to get onto the podcast. You need to get onto the podcast. Maybe before the GF. Actually, I'm just going to throw it out. Next week, grand final weekend, we're going to invite Tanya Booth as the New South Wales Rugby League. I think she's operations here on the Northern Rivers. We'd like to invite. Sorry for that. We'd like to invite Tanya and Wade both to come onto the NRL podcast grand final. How about this? Next week's our grand final podcast. So we might even get Harrow Skyping in. We'll get the coaches next week of each grade, of the two first grade teams in, that get through to the grand final. And maybe the two captains. So Goffy's got a bit of work next week. We're going to have a grand final finale podcast. We won't, because I don't want to. It will be our finale because I don't want to be talking about it. Well, it'll be our NRL finale because the following week we're going to be fully focused on the knockout.
And talking about grand final, the victories.
Oh, we might.
We have to.
Yeah. Well, we probably can. So
Wouldn't you
anyway,
just do that on the
but we'll have a grand final podcast next weekend.
Well, if we're doing
next
that,
week.
then we won't.
So yeah, as I said, hats off. What do you think, Les? What do you think about the year?
Mate, I thought it was a great year. I really liked the final setup this year, from 1 to 6.
Top 8,
Top 6.
top 6. You like the top 6? We got 14 teams. I'll talk about that in a minute.
I like the top 6. I like how they ran the final series this year opposed to last year. And I really like seeing some of those teams that were down the bottom of the table up there in the top of the table.
Mate, the big thing that I like about this year is the expansion. And when I say expansion, so the last meeting I went to, which was a couple of weeks ago, the NRL, we've got a couple of things on the table. I think we have potentially Tweed Seagulls coming into the NRL competition next year, which means we're going to go to 14 teams. The other concept that I think is great for teams like Northern and Evans Head, both those clubs look like they'll be accepted into the Junior League competition next year. So Northern United will have 6s through to 16s or whatever grades we can fill. I know there's probably other clubs out there, particularly being a Lismore community. We've got Brothers here as well. I know in the past they've seen that as a bit of a threat. There's no threat. We just want kids playing footy. Doesn't matter where they're coming from, which communities they live in. I think it's all about having more kids play the game, growing the game. So to have Evans Head come in next year in the Junior League competitions, absolutely great for that team.
I think it's a choice too. Like you should be able to choose whoever you want to play for.
Well, mate, I've always said that. So my thing in that space is I hope next year with these two teams coming in, both Evans Head and Northern United in the Junior League competition, that they come in with no restrictions, that parents and kids have the opportunity of making what we call choice in relation to where they want to play and who they want to play with, the same way that senior players in the competition can choose. There should be no restrictions on our kids because it's all about growing the game.
I don't want to see any restrictions whatsoever.
So the word restriction should be thrown out the door. I mean, if we're talking about growing the game and honestly delivering a great game at the top end, the bottom end has got to do the same. You've got to deliver.
Did we have restrictions on 18s this year?
No restrictions on 18s. I think we might have. We might have had. We can only take 2 or 3 from any other club.
I don't like
So let's just. I just think from a.
Let them play for whoever they want to play for.
Yeah, and let's just get on and grow the game. The big thing that I liked this year as well was the women's competition. I know that game's going to grow next year. Northern United, we've already made a decision as a club. We're not going to be playing league tag next year. We're going full on tackle. Well, here you go. There's a bit of inside. Goffy's Goss.
And,
Now, I just want to go on record.
I think Evans were thinking the same too after that yarn we had with DC over there
Oh,
that day.
really?
I don't know if it's confirmed, but
Well, that'd be good.
they said they have like 20 plus girls.
I spoke to
to.
I think Maxie Beecher at the meeting. I think they're going to look at a Ballina Byron combination for tackle next year. In 2025, the whole competition's going women's tackle. So we, as I said, at Northern United have chosen that that's not our pathway is not in league tag. Our pathway is in tackle. That's where the direction we would like to continue to head in. So I just think, again, Tanya, take my hats off to Tanya, who's driving the women's game, and I think all the clubs need to be supporting where we're heading in that space, and I think it's good for the competition and it's good for everyone else in general. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, it's a good
Concept?
Yeah.
Good. So you like the women's game?
I look like I'm crying.
You like the women's game, don't you,
Not
Bo?
in that way.
Don't listen, mate. We got your back on this one. You like the women's game for the product.
All right.
Yeah,
what-
some of the girls, they go pretty hard, and
They do some mad big tackles, don't they?
yeah.
Mate, I'll tell you, we all know we're not going to be sitting here talking that game up. We know where the women's game's heading. We fully support the direction that New South Wales Rugby League and Triple R are going in that direction. We think it's going to be great for the future. Let's get on to the other bit. Goffy's Goss. We got any over here, mate? Anything from the Goffy's Goss?
Anything
Well, he's
from
already
the
made
Goff?
one. I think we took it. We're going to go back. The last time Goffy made a comment about Marsh Brothers, he got it horribly wrong. But he's also just said on air that next year Brothers won't be having a league tag. They're going for tackle as well.
Let's see if he gets that right.
So we'll see if he gets it right. Brothers, please ring us and tell us if that's correct, because we'll no doubt reprimand the Goff Meister next week.
What's the
Anything
other
from
one?
you, mate?
Nah, not really.
What is it? We got something. Hang on. Here we got late mail. What it is?
Mate, the late mail was to do with decisions being made on the field.
Decisions been made. Oh, okay. I'll get you.
The latest decision is, mate, if you're not 100% sure on the sideline, you really shouldn't open your mouth.
Is that as an official or as a coach or?
If you're saying, I think,
Yeah.
to me, that puts the referee off. Now, the referee's made a decision to try. Now, if you come back and say, no, I think he's knocked it on, that puts doubt in the referee's mind.
If I was a referee in that situation, I'll be saying, I think is not good enough. I'm going with my decision.
Yeah, and look, we talked about. I'm just going to raise the issue. The referee saga. I'm just going to call it for what it is. We, in the past, haven't really gone down the path of being controversial, but I'm just going to throw it out there. And, again, I go on record. If you want to reprimand him, go for it. I don't really, give a rat's. But anyway, the referee saga, we know that there's been a bit of kerfuffles in the refereeing ranks in the NRRL. They've been really good all year. I will say that. I'm not going to knock the guys. I'm not knocking the guys for that. But there's a bit of conjecture in the room at the moment around what's going on with the referees. There's a whole bunch of rumours out there about different things that some referees have resigned. Now, this all played itself out last week, right before elimination finals, both on the Saturday and the Sunday. And I don't really care what anyone thinks or believes of what I'm saying, and this isn't about the result in our game. What I'm saying is, if the referees, the same within a club, in clubland, if we've got issues on a Thursday night at training, and we know that it's going to impact on our results going into the weekend, we try and sort it out as quickly as possible so that we get everyone on the same page and everyone in the same, heading in the same direction, so you actually can give yourself the best opportunity to get the result in the game. The same needs to be said for referees. If there's drama going on in the referees' ranks between New South Wales Rugby League, the Referees Association and the NRRL, there should have been a think tank happening on the Thursday or Friday to make sure that anything that needed to be resolved before the weekend's games. Straight up, and again, I don't really care how controversial this is, that didn't happen. Now, my concern around that is I honestly believe, and people that have watched the games over the weekend on Facebook, it went viral. We believe, and I believe, that those situations that occurred in the week leading up, or the week or days leading up to those finals, did have an impact on two areas. One of those is on appointments, and the other one is on I believe, the emotional component that those referees that refereed in the weekend took into those games. I know there's a lot that's been said in relation to things that have been said to referees off the field, and, you know, I'm not going to be backwards in coming forward. We know that there's supporters in our club, and there's supporters in other clubs that have been reprimanded because of that, been, you know, threatened with code of conduct, and, you know, if that's got to play it out. I'm not really here to say that it shouldn't. I don't think they deserve a gobful, but I honestly think if we've got to hold ourselves to account as coaches, if players have got to hold themselves to account as players, then the same's got to be said for referees. That, you know, I'm hoping, guys, and I'm really being honest with it, I'm hoping that reviews do happen. And I know a comment got made to me in the weekend. Benji, if you've got a problem with how the game was refereed on the weekend, go and fill in the feedback sheet. I'm just going to be really honest. I didn't even bother wasting my time on a feedback sheet. I'd rather sit down man to man with people and actually have the conversation. Feedback sheets mean nothing to me. If there are issues, and it's a refereeing issue or a coaching issue, sit down with people, have the honest conversation. Because at the end of the day, at the back end of a season in a final series, you just want everything to be running as smoothly as they possibly can, and you want everyone to be at their best. And I'm just going to go out on a limb. I think the controversy Thursday night leading into the weekend did have impacts on those areas. As I said, appointments. I think it had issues in the mindsets of officials in relation to decision making, and that impacted on games. So love me, hate me, or otherwise, I don't really care. I'm just putting it out there. I'm happy and I'm open to hearing back from anyone in the NRRL, or for that matter, anyone in the refereeing ranks, to have these conversations with me. Come to the podcast, contact me off air. We'll have a chat. I'm not going to get up, because I can tell you that. I just want to have an open and honest conversation to hopefully get to the point where we can actually get a good product this weekend. And then also make sure that the grand final is an even better product, because we can't have the type of season that we've had this year in the NRL across the board, and then get to the back end of a season and have these sort of things come into play that impacts on results of footy teams and footy clubs. I just think it's wrong.
I think, Chris, that you agree with me. The refereeing has been exceptional.
It's been exceptional.
It's just with when you have this cavaffle in an association, it does affect people.
It does.
And this is the time of the year you want everyone at 100% focus.
Yeah. So look, I'm hoping, based on that, Goffy too, mate, that I'm hoping, based on what you've said, that there's been some review, there's been some consultation between New South Wales Rugby League, the Referees Association, the NRRL this week, so that we can get the ship back in order, and that we can all start to go steaming ahead in where we were 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. Because I think you can't do what we've done to get to this point, Les, and then go backwards in a final series because of, issues at the top end, which being the top end. And I'm saying the top end because they're the guys that officiate the game. Without them, we can't have a game.
Correct.
You're not even... You just let me ramble on, man.
Yeah, I am. And you want the best of the best.
Well, that's it.
Like, coming into semi-final, elimination finals, major semi-finals, you want the best three there.
Well, mate, I could honestly sit on the podcast tonight and go through the game that we had on the weekend v Coogin, which I have, and pinpoint the exact minutes in the game where decisions were made and the indecisiveness of officials in that game. I'm not going to say that it cost us the game, because hindsight's a great thing. I don't know whether it did or it didn't. But it impacted. It impacted. Yeah, both ways. Yeah, mate, the same for Coogin. But it impacted on the game. And I think the more indecisiveness that happens because of the kerfuffleness that happened before that doesn't help the game and doesn't help the product. And I think we want the best product. And I think up until this weekend, I just think we being the NRRL competition, had the best product in New South Wales country. So, take it in any way you want, but it's food for thought. And I think going forward, I think here's a bit of advice for the NRL. Before we start the season next year, if there was an opportunity for the coaches, officials of clubs and the referees to have a think tank about how we can all improve, I think it'll only fix the game and make the game even better going into next season.
Alrighty.
So that's my point of view. As I said, it was a little bit controversial, but I think that's controversial. Controversial. Versal.
It's good to get the thing
Oh,
out
yeah, it
there.
is.
There was nothing you said there that was upsetting to anybody. You spoke the truth.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Your concern is mainly for the concern.
That's the game.
It's
It's
a game.
a game in general.
I can see your concern towards the referees' work and help there when you were talking about decisions or that and how they make it on the field. It can come back in them after a game knowing they've made a decision that,
Yeah.
I wasn't quite 100% there after the purple we've had, where they've let them, and so what we've got to do, we've got to realise, let's open it up for everyone so that everyone's on board and everyone's got a clear head and they hit that field, it's just a clear thing. It's a blue team and a red team or a yellow team and a black team. There's no Marist or United, there's no Ballina. We're scratching this rabbit like
That's right, yeah, exactly, mate. And look, that's what you want, mate. And that's good comments from behind the screen, Goffy. So thank you for that input. And I think for me, again, I just go back to that. It's been such a great year, regardless of that, regardless of all those things we've just talked about. It's been a great year by the NRL, and I've really enjoyed the year, to be totally honest. I've loved the podcast, and I love the banter. I love the back end of the year banter. It's been absolutely sensational.
The podcast serves.
The podcast serves. We're going to go into the whatevs. So jumping into the whatevs, the podcast serves. What about that?
I love it.
So we've copped the serves from the Evans Head coaching and support staff and supporters, and that's great. Like, I mean, not in a bad way, by the way. I want to be really honest about that. None of this has been negative.
Me and Benji don't care. We love it.
And then the week after, we copped a little bit from the McLean or the lower boys, and I just want to throw it out there to my nephew down there on the Clarence big coats. Uncle, love you always. There was nothing but love. Trust me. Me and the big Foxy had the best laugh because we thought it was we actually thought it was great.
All Chris kept saying was going, how good is everyone watching the
Podcast. and even on the weekend, like
the Kudgeon boys?
The Kudgeon boys, mate. The Zeeble boy. Well, not Connor. Caleb was on fire.
Oh, the little fullback, he gave me a little bit too.
Did he really?
Nothing bad. Like he just said, mention that on the podcast. I went, yep, we will.
What's that? The serve you got?
No, that they won.
Oh yeah, Kudgeon won. There you go. Young. What's the fullback's name?
Young fullback. He was a good fight.
Oh, he was good on the weekend.
He come up and said, sorry about that, but mate, I don't care. I love the band.
Yeah, no, it was good. Caleb Zeeble gave our whole bench a gobful, and then on top, well, I probably would have done it in a bit more.
I'm not crying.
I probably would have done. I probably would have had a bit more tact to what my bench copped. But all fun and games. And then obviously gave me an absolute gobful, to which I tried to give as good back. But I was like, this is actually a little bit funny.
Keep watching the podcast.
So Caleb, mate, you really entertained me. Thank you very much, and I'm hoping to be up there this weekend. And guarantee, mate, should you not get the result, I'll be keeping myself as entertaining as you were on the weekend. So thumbs up
To all those Mullumbimby young boys,
Oh, stop it!
build.
Stop it.
Get more boys there in behind Benji and absolutely give it to him now.
Stop, please. But yeah, look, I think the positive thing out of all this is, and it is, and we really want to say this to everybody. We don't hold any begrudgingness to anybody. When you give us a serve, we actually, to be totally honest, I'll tell you what happens. I actually ring Les and say, did you see that? Or did you hear that? How good was that? So we actually love it. We will never cross the line in that space, and I can guarantee you that. And if we do, please pull us up. We do try and hold ourselves to a higher standard in that space, and we definitely don't do that. I did cop something else on the weekend that I want to raise. I mean, I got a phone call from some people that work within the game and basically around comments that I supposedly made. I want to really say an honest, and I'm being really honest here, for the person that believed that I said something negatively and in a way that was the terminology that came to me was derogatory. I would suggest you actually go back and have a long, hard look at yourself and look in the mirror and actually say to myself, the next time I race things, I am going to be totally honest. Because I can tell you right now, if there's one thing that I will never do in a game is be derogatory to anyone, man, woman or child. And also the other thing that I'll never do is cross a line when it comes to females in the game. I've got too much respect, mate. I've got daughters myself, so I don't ever cross that line. So to the people that want to throw that at me, and mate, you need to make sure that the facts behind the scenes needs to be facts, because if it is thrown again, I will call it out myself. So thank you very much for those people that believe they were doing the right thing. You probably need to have a look at yourselves rather than looking at me. Controversy corner.
What do you think, Bailey? Should people keep feeding us the podcast?
Should people keep feeding the Gingy and the Foxy?
Giving
it to us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course
How
you
good
would.
is it for the podcast?
Of course you would, mate. Of course you would.
Maybe we can get a section where you get all the things. You read.
Well, we got the next section. It's called shout outs or shout up or shut ups.
Nah, but it's just that section where they all give it. Yeah. Just
So
nothing else.
people can actually do a video and send it in.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. Between now and next week, or the next couple of weeks, if you've got something that you want to really dish on me and the big Foxy, do a video, send it in. Goffy, we're going to say, we don't care what it is, mate, we're going to give you permission to show those. We're going to have a section at the end called the
Feeding-
G-ups.
feeding
Feeding the
the
fox and the gingy. Well, if it is, you won't hear it. But it's good, clean fun. But let's just get it out there. So we're going to have the feed section. Feed the boys. Feed the boys.
Feed
There
the
you go.
boys.
Okay. Shout outs, Foxy.
Beautiful.
Shout outs.
Mate, I've got no shout outs. You got any?
Really?
Yeah.
No. Well, I don't know if it's a shout. I don't know if sorry.
Mark
got
off
any
for the
shout-outs?
shout
You got any shout outs from any of your mates at school? Think you want to shout out to the Gingy and the Foxy?
Honest-
Making you a
I
star.
want to shout out to all you young boys at Mullabimby that feed
Oh,
the-
shut up,
feed the Gingy.
mate. You just leave it.
Got
Well,
one.
You got one? Yeah.
My father, Rory Hughes.
big shout out to Rory. There you go. There you go. I can't miss this one because I get shot down if I don't do it. Shout out to my young bloke at home, Kyle, mate. You're a wonderful young child. All I need you to do is get a job and a partner and make sure she can cook.
Shout out to my partner Maddie and my kids, Micah and Maya.
There you go. Oh, hang on. We can't miss him. The young kid that...
You better not forget Kylie too.
Yeah, well, shout out to Kylie. Love you, bud. Young
Oh, young Kylie.
Kyden. You're getting shouted out every week between
week.
now and the podcast finishes for the season. So shout out to Kyden. We'll see you at the footy hopefully on the weekend. If not, well, I don't know if you're going to go to up to Balamble. But, mate, we'll definitely be seeing you at the grand final down at Ballina this year, hopefully. I see him at most games.
Knockout.
He just loves footy.
We'll see you at knockout.
We'll see you at the knockout.
Go on.
Actually, you know what we should do at the knockout?
What are we going to do?
We'll introduce people to Kyden.
Yeah, okay.
Kyden. So at the knockout, when we get out and about, when we do the out and about with the mic, we're going to call you up and we're going to get you in for a bit of a chat. There you go, Kyden.
You know
Get
what?
yourself ready. G yourself up.
You'll
and
have to line that up.
Yeah, I'll line that up. I'll do that. I'll talk to Kari and we'll get all that happening.
Good job.
But yeah, on top of that, well, it's not a shout out, but we're 3 weeks away, mate, from the big Northern United Lismore knockout for 2023. We've got
Guess where I'm going this weekend?
where you going?
To buy some footy boots.
Oh, you're playing.
Nobody will loan me a pair of
You're
footy boots.
what size?
13.
Hey, don't buy a pair.
Have you got a pair?
I've got a pair at home. 13s. There you
No.
go. I'm saving. So Les is actually going to. He will play for both of us because they're a pair of boots that I own that he can have. So when you go out when you go out for the knockout and you play that game and you'll be starting in the front row, mate, be mindful you're running for both of us because I've only got one leg now. Remember, I've got a bionic leg on the other one, titanium as they say. So outside of that, mate,
I'm a 2-minute specialist.
outside of that, you're usually giving me the wind up.
Yeah.
So I'm now going this to you and saying we've had a great night tonight. We've enjoyed the company of one of our special guests, Young Bales. And Goffy's input from behind the screen has been absolutely sensational tonight. So thank you, Goffy.
What's going on there?
Mate, I think the man behind the screen, there you go. Mate, I just want to say thanks for the year. It's been a great year to date. we're loving everything we're doing at the moment, and we think the podcast is something that we definitely enjoy and we want to continue. We want to make it bigger and better next year. So anyone out there, our viewers out there, it doesn't matter good, bad or otherwise, please send your ideas in to either the Gingy and Foxy Facebook site. If not, have a look on the screen. You'll get the Mark Goff Media Sport email and Facebook as well. Please drop us a line. Tell us how we can improve it, or tell us what you want to see moving forward.
Get ready for the big grand final edition.
Get ready for next year's edition, next week's edition, next year's edition. Wow, how's that? Whoa. Next week's edition, the grand final edition, we'll have, Harrow in for a chat. We'll actually have someone, once the referees sort out their stuff, we'll get someone from the Referees Association. We'll get Wade and Tanya to come in. If they can't come in person, we'll get them all on Skype. We'll get the captains from both teams and the coaches from both teams in A grade. So Goffy's got a fair bit of work ahead of him this week. He hasn't come back to me as to whether I'm doing commentary this week.
Yeah, he said you're in.
Oh, I'm in. There you go. So you'll actually hear me this weekend with Dwayne up at Ballamble doing the first grade game, Ballamble v Coogin. I can't wait for that. I actually literally cannot wait for that game and being up there and doing that game with Dwayne. But you know what I'm really looking forward to? The Gingy and the Foxy with Dwayne doing the GF Bar TV Grand Final for 2020.
Yes.
There you go.
GF's locked in.
Mate, is there any chance, Goffy, before we do finish up, this will be the last thing, is there any chance too that we can get a roving mic on the day?
GF day?
Yes, I'll arrange that with Dwayne. I'll take my roving mic, so we've got a roving mic, so we have got a roving mic.
Can we have one that we don't have to have a cord with, because that was a bit difficult?
Yeah, we're on.
There you go, we're on. We'll get out and about. We'll get out, and we might even get up into the Yobbos.
Yep.
Do they still call it Yobbos?
We're calling it Yobbos.
Because I think it's called something else.
To us.
Yeah, well, we'll get up there. We'll get out and about. We might even. Oh, I'll see how I go. I'm not going to say it. I'll just leave it.
Save it for next week.
Yeah, Bailey raised it at the start of the podcast, but we'll see what we can do. We might even get some shirts.
Release them on grand final.
So that being said, guys, thank you to everybody that watches the podcast. Thank you to all the viewing audience. Thank you to all the clubs that have been absolutely sensational this year. We wish all the clubs that we mentioned earlier that are playing this weekend all the best, and we honestly do. Wish you all the best. We hope it's a great game of footy, which we know it will be in every grade. To Coogin and Ballamble in first grade, go out there, guys, go hard. Make sure it's played in the right spirit, and may the best team win. Yep. But I'm still tipping Ballamble.
Yep, I'm still tipping Ballamble.
So that, my friends, is...
Thanks to young Bales.
Oh, thanks to Bales for you, mate. Really good to have you on board. But that, my friends, is a Gingy and Foxy and Triple RL